something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, howdy, folks. Now, let's just make sure you are hearing me. I've got buttons pushed. Yes, there are things dancing around appropriately at the appropriate levels. If I go back over into the chat, somebody give me a thumbs up in there and let me know that you can actually hear me. Been doing a little bit of moving around inside the bus. In fact, there'll be a lot more moving around, going around inside the bus and outside of the bus in the very near future. We'll bring you up to date. Thank you, Deb. You can hear me loud and clear. Beautiful. I shall move on. And thank you for being first in the house tonight, Deb. That's Deb Shippard. We have a lot of Debs, but this one, very special Deb, is that one. I haven't think I've thanked everybody for finally ending our last lottery. Now, the winner came from New South Wales, and her name was Grace. Grace is on a cruise, as far as I'm aware at the moment, and did get the news via email and has been in contact with Vince. So all good. I dare say that money will have been spent somewhere between the cocktails and the casino by now, but we'll see. I hope they have a wonderful time with it. But thank you to everybody who helped to get us over the line. We'll have some news on some other forms of competition. We've got some silver to give away. One of you has donated a 5-ounce bar that we want to use and give to you. So we've just got to figure out the best way that we can do that, and that sort of means us getting a bit of mileage out of it as well. And we've had some ideas, and the Victorian government have had some other ideas, and some other governments have had some other ideas. So at the moment, who knows? It might be a bloody treasure hunt, particularly if we get the wheels on the bus going round and round again. Then look out. I could drop it anywhere, and then we could start a competition. I quite like the sound of that, actually. G'day, what the? I hope you are well, my brother. What are we day? Thursday. So you either are up for a change today or I think probably tomorrow, a bandage change. I trust all is going well. I spoke to Greg the other day, well, a few days ago now, and he was doing pretty well. It was just after his most recent bandage change. He had been up to SCOO, and the surgeon had seen his foot and was very, very happy with the way things were proceeding. Now, in the next week or toward the end of next week, I think it is, Greg will be going back into the Sunshine Coast University Hospital to have the grafting surgery done, which will put a cover, if you like, over the hole that is currently where Two Toes used to reside. Now, once he goes back in, I believe from what he told me, the doctors predict he'll be about a week in hospital before he'll be allowed back out under his own recognizance, so to speak. And I dare say there'll be a bit of a regime for a month or two after that. That means he's going to get dressings changed and making sure that it's doing the things that it should be doing. He's obviously looking after it pretty well. It's a bit of a juggle because he has a pup. As many of you are aware, a beautiful little red heeler called Max, and got to be a bit careful with, jumpy puppies and all that kind of thing. So Max is currently learning he needs to be a bit careful of his dad. So good luck with all of that, mate. I trust it goes well, and I look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. I guess we can... I guess I can say this publicly. We didn't say we were going to keep it quiet, I don't think. We're talking about going and catching up with Greg for a lunch, possibly over the weekend. So for people who are in the southeast corner of Queensland and who don't mind travelling, we're heading, well, toward Bribey Island, not to Bribey Island. There's a place called Beachmere, and there's a few pubs or clubs around Beachmere. We're thinking we might be able to catch up with Greg there. It makes it a bit easier for him to travel at the moment, because clearly when you've had the surgery he's had, driving the car, particularly when it's a manual, is not necessarily conducive to long-distance driving. Let's put it that way. It may not be conducive to short-distance driving either, but that hasn't stopped him. As he pointed out very clearly and so eloquently while we were on the phone the other day, he said, Carl, you and me, mate, we're drivers. We find a way to make it work safely. And he's quite right. I remember knee surgery that I had, and various dislocated knees, right and left, at different times of my life. I've always negotiated a way to drive, even with, I think I had 48 stitches in my right leg when I had my knee operated on there. And this is going back many, many years. I don't think they even use stitches anymore, do they? But that meant that I couldn't actually control the throttle with my right foot. So I learned how to drive completely left-footed, with my right leg in a splint folded in behind a Commodore steering wheel. So there you go. Stupid things you do when you're young. Don't think I could do it today. Tony, lovely to have you in the house, brother, and your little parcel arrived today. You'll be pleased to know that one of the lights is in, yay, and working. We did manage to blow some fuses, but we found out which fuses we blew. They went because of the lights. And the thing I'm talking about with Tony is Tony has been very wonderful in helping me fix my light problem. I don't have them in here, but the headlights on the old girl were not going to pass any kind of roadworthy muster. And that is because they were basically on the bus since born and had gone scaly like a snake's skin does, particularly over its eye, and couldn't see anything. I tried polishing them up. They were never going to polish up. So the hunt began for a set of headlights that would fit a 26-year-old bus, Ford bus at least, that was only ever released in America. Doesn't that make it like fun? Well, it turns out Vincenzo and I were able, through a great deal of research, be able to find out that the lights that we required do still get used today. In fact, they are used in certain Ranger vehicles, Ford Ranger vehicles. So got 2 new headlights and put the first one in today. Second one will go in tomorrow. Of course, they have different plugs. And so Tony sent me a little adapter plug, and that's what's turned up. So, ta-da! Now, tonight I might just turn the lights on in the dark and just see where the left headlight is pointed. Going to need to do a fair bit of tuning for those, I'm pretty sure. So thank you, Tony, for helping me out there. S.E. Hodgson popped over from Rumble. Nice to have you on the main channel. Good to see that people are taking notice when we put that out. And if you're only seeing or hearing about this for the first time, we talked about this the other night. We have a variety of channels. So we have Rumble channels, and we have 4 YouTube channels, an X channel, a Facebook channel, a TikTok channel. And particularly the 4 YouTube channels, only one of them is actually monetized. And the reason monetizing YouTube, monetizing the whole thing was never, one of my motivations, quite stupidly, as it turns out. But anyway, we don't live with regrets. What I have done, though, is during the course of setting up the program and doing it over the years, I was saying and doing things that was getting the show kicked off and getting me banned for a week here or 2 weeks there or a month here and a month there. And in what they would do is they'd kick me off the monetized channels. So I had 3 others set up all around the place. One of them we've changed the name to FBN Media. There is one that is called The Voice of Freedom, and it will show a Magna Carta 1215 flag as the sort of little ID. And there is another one called VOI, VOI, next word, Cefreedom, CEFREEDOM. Now, those channels, if you are subscribed to any of those channels, then I would ask you to go and subscribe to VOF at YouTube. So it's youtube.com/the @VOF. And that will put you on our main channel. And now that YouTube seemed to have become a lot more stable, with regards to what we can say and get away with saying and not get taken off, or I'm not worried about being demonetized. I'm more concerned about just, they pull the plug on you, as they have done many times. But we'll try and bring the audience back to one place, which is better for us all in the long run, I guess. It makes it much easier to communicate, because sometimes I do things on that channel, that VOF channel, that the rest of you don't see. So, because they come, particularly if that comes off my phone, the rest of you won't see any of that unless Vince happens to be awake and goes to work and posts it up on those. So it's for your benefit, and I think benefit might be the case, because there's going to be some big news coming up in the days, weeks, and months ahead, I think, folks. And rather than waiting for the evening, you might find that I'm jumping on the phone and doing things a little bit more in the moment, shall we say, as it happens. Good morning, good evening, Anne Penny. I don't know where I'm going with the good morning. Lady Rhoda Rose, lovely to have you in the house. Aussie Sue, as always, our number one Russell Island fan, although there are a couple of others on Russell Island who have recently been cruising with us. G'day, Rolly and Tracy. Hope you guys are doing well. I haven't, or did I show you the... Rolly is our silver man. So if you've got any scrap silver, let us know. If you've got bunches of old computers and you'd like to get rid of them, Rolly's he'll strip the silver out of them. It takes a while. It's a chemical process. But while we're on the cruise, I think I've got them somewhere near me. Maybe I don't. Oh, Rolly has given me a couple of more. One of them was a beautiful brassy kind of color, not gold, more brass than anything else that he'd dug out. And then the other one is made up pretty much entirely of silver, and he's turned them into little skulls. So here is the brass one, if you can get an idea. Oops, pull it back. And if I can dig out the silver one here somewhere. It sounds stupid. I've got a little bag here where I keep things that are close to me. Here we are. And that's the one made out of silver. We have a penchant for skulls for some reason, but thank you, Rolly. Love you dearly, mate, and appreciate them both. So if you have any sort of scrap silver, Rolly can help you turn that into, well, something that's a little less scrappy, so to speak. Okay, so I've missed something that's happened in the Donkey Sanctuary. Hope all are well. Sending love and blessings. Having a rough day today. We lost our dear Louise to pneumonia this morning. That's a bugger. It's always hard when you lose one. And even when you're in the business, Sandy, I know it's very difficult. If you haven't been and had a look at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary site, folks, go and have a look and join their Facebook page. They put up some amazing videos, some beautiful, heartwarming videos. I was only thinking about the Donkey Sanctuary today. I saw a promo for the new Clarkson's Farm series that's coming up. And in it, Clarkson's wife, girlfriend, lady friend, whoever she is, was pointing out a couple of donkeys. And she said, one of them's a Jesus donkey and the other one's just an old Irish donkey. And whoever she was explaining it to must have had that strange sort of look on my face as well. And she went on to explain that the Jesus donkey was the one that had the cross on it, and the Irish donkey was Irish because it was little and it was designed to be able to carry a weight around the peat, carry peat out of the peat bogs without sinking into them. But I think she missed out on the fact that all donkeys have the cross. Sometimes you don't see it, just simply because it's the same color as the rest of the fur. But all donkeys have the cross on their back. Absolutely beautiful animals, and God bless them for a reason. So, Sandy, thoughts are with you and your team, Baz, tonight. I know it's never easy when you've got to put one down, and pneumonia is such an awful thing. I mean, you know what it's like when we get it, folks. So can you imagine what it's like when a poor animal gets it? So all love, all hugs, Sandy. God love you. And hopeful of seeing you sooner rather than later, although it is cold down your way. I'll stop being a sook. G'day, Jude. Hope you're well. Ian's in the house too. Anybody else I haven't said g'day to? Scotty the News. If you've got questions, folks, throw them in there, because I'm getting down towards the bottom of the chat. So figure we'll do a bit of a catch up. What happened last night? I went to sleep is what happened last night. For whatever reason, there's a bit going on around here at the moment. So I've been out doing things. I've been up pretty early in the morning. And like an old man, I've needed a nap for whatever reason yesterday afternoon, about 4 o'clock. I thought, I've got to go and have just an hour will do me. You know, that'll be fine. I set an alarm, never heard the alarm, woke up at 7:45 last night. So I must have needed the sleep, but yeah, even still, I do apologize. That wasn't my plan for last night. And a bit of the news that we'll talk about tonight, I'm sure you're probably over talking about, because it's come from last night. Okay, so Johanna, lovely to have you in. Jude Kelly, did I say Jude before? Hello. I'm looking for a few new names in the chat, because a lot of them have come across. The Aussie Patriots back in the house. The Synchronicity Show, always good for catching up. Butler today throwing $7.2 million worth. Oh, yes, the diphtheria vaccine. Diphtheria. How long's it been since you've heard of diphtheria in Australia, much less it killing someone? Apparently, we had a death 10 years ago to diphtheria, but I've got to be honest, it's not a word or a disease I've been familiar with. Even in my childhood, I don't remember it being prevalent in any way, shape, or form. However, we've let our quarantine lapse a little bit in the last few years, and we've had all sorts of interesting souls crossing the border with all sorts of new and interesting versions of diseases that we have long eradicated from our soil. And what's our health department do? Well, it certainly keeps us in the quiet about it, but I guess they go to work. They try and contain it as best they can. And diphtheria, not a nice thing to get. But there are a lot worse things to get, like hantavirus. Oh, that's right, hantavirus. They tried that, didn't they? They tried that off the boat, and they did a bloody good effort. I mean, I thought the effort of the whole hantavirus, ramp up the scam, was the UK. They went so far and beyond with paratroopers leaping out of an aircraft carrying vital supplies to the ship. Paratroopers in PPE. There are still 6 people sitting in a containment center in Western Australia because they might have this hantavirus, which cannot be transferred to humans, but they might have it. So they must be afraid of giving it to the mice or the rats or whoever. But Anyway, the hantavirus did not work terribly well. The world laughed in their face. So what happened next? Well, hold my beer. Ebola has raised its head again. And where? Well, in the same old places. The not so democratic Republic of Congo, where at the moment 139 cases have been discovered, treated, or treating. There have been a number of deaths. Ebola does tend to be like that. It does have a very high kill rate. So watch this space. If you can think back, you'll remember that Ebola was also rolled out just prior to the last pandemic of COVID. So I think we're being tenderized, shall we say, or prepared for the bullshit that is coming our way going forward, rather sadly. All right. G'day, Robert. Nice to have you in. LG, did I get the LPG fixed on the bus, mate? No, not yet. So there is plans to do that when I get to Victoria, but I'm really unsure how we're going to do it, and it requires better engineering and somebody with much greater rubber skills than I have, with air inlets and all sorts of stuff over the top of the motor. So yeah, the Greenie & Co down in Melbourne have made some noises about being able to put something together, but it really does require a complete rebuild of the airbox mixer that brings the gas in and mixes it into the airbox. There's a big butterfly valve and a few other bits and pieces that got blown out of wherever they're meant to be. So it is quite a large job, but yeah. If you need brakes on the bus, we don't work on the vehicle. We can do duration brake components. Let me know. Oh, okay, Ian. I don't at this point in time. Thank you very much. Gee, that's really, really nice to know. Absolutely, we'll have to be able to get them off and get them to you. But at the moment, no, the brakes are pretty bloody good in the old girl. I love them to pieces. Not that I like pushing them too hard, because everything shoots out of cupboards and drawers. I've got a few. I can't even show you one, but caravan drawers have these pop-in, pop-out kind of handles. Well, the old girl has those sorts of handles. I've got one that is almost like Fort Knox to break into. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that work okay. And I've got 3, including the drawer that holds all of my cutlery, that don't really work at all well. So I've got to look and find 3 more of those. And that way the doors and the drawers will stay shut when I slam my foot on those bloody good brakes we're talking about. There are some other things I've learnt while travelling around here, particularly while travelling Victorian bloody roads. Anything bumpy, I've got to strap the couch down because it tends to walk. I have on more than one occasion unloaded, because I run a very full bus with clothes, with computer gear, with camera gear, with audio gear, with bloody 2 little fridges and lights and all sorts of shit. There is no room in this thing. So when I travel, it's rather compact and things are wedged in pretty hard and sometimes strapped in. I'm learning to strap more and more in these days, because occasionally you go around a corner and you hit a bump the wrong way and everything you strapped in so beautifully in the morning unloads itself into your aisle. And whenever you pull up for lunch somewhere, you spend half an hour putting it all back into position. Takes the fun out of the traveling somewhat. So, yes, the solution to that is don't take so much shit, Carl, and I'm working on it. In fact, I've got to work on it rather rapidly. There will be a lot of trips to the tip this week, where I'm going to take a lot of people's advice and just start throwing things. it's very difficult because some of the things that I we have spent good money buying, and I need to sort of get a good use out of, and I don't feel I've had them that way. So anyway, I'll fight my way through that, and we'll see what we wind up with over the weekend and throw it away. I might take that as a bit of a journey, and we'll put the camera on it and see what happens. Deb Shippard says Clarkson has had donkeys for years as pets. I didn't know that. But any people who have donkeys for pets, as long as they're looking after them, are bloody good people by my estimation. Beautiful animals. Beautiful animals. Got to be a bit careful of your lower bits when you go in and see Disco. But the rest of them seem quite fine. Disco has a penchant for your lower bits for whatever reason. I was waiting for that. Oh my God, no such thing as a Jesus or Jerusalem donkey. Yeah, well, we can send a letter to Lisa at Clarkson's farm. I think that's her name. And we'll try and sort that out for you. Looking up what Handa means in Hebrew. Yes, I've done that, Ian. I think we've all had a go at that. Well, it's actually Hebrew slang. If you go and look it up in Hebrew, you don't get an answer for it. But Hebrew slang, you will. So yeah, the lovely sunflower is in the house too. All right, I think I've just about made it to the end. Fauci. If Fauci's got anything to do with it, would have been weaponized. Yes. So Fauci at the moment, there is in the States much talk about charges of officials responsible for misleading Congress, amongst other things, in regard to the coronavirus. There have been a couple of hearings running concurrently where both sides of the House have been investigating inconsistencies with the way the bureaucrats, and particularly the Democrats, have reported, maintained, if you like, a chain of evidence, or failed to protect, if you like, that chain of evidence. Pardon me. And have been actively responsible for covering over and covering up many, many, many thousands of words written to advise government against using an experimental vaccine on its population. Now, Fauci has been given a 10-year pardon, or a pardon supposedly that would cover him for 10 years after Biden dies, I want to say, for any and everything he may have done. So it's a blanket pardon, but it looks to have been signed by an auto pen, and they are currently in court fighting to rescind any auto pen signed, get out of jail free cards. So with a bit of luck, that will happen, and Fauci will face charges. But most of his underlings have been charged, including his two deputies, as far as I'm aware, and they go further down the tree from there. There have been bureaucrats who've been arrested and charged with a variety of different things, from hindering investigations all the way through to subverting justice. And these public arrests, while not large in name, have started a conversation about the bigger names. And when are we going to see them? Donald Trump has been truthing out on Truth Social that he wants to see the big names put before the courts. This has to be tested. And this is now a theme that is spinning out around the world. More and more people are saying it here in Australia, and some politicians are saying that as well. The UK, it's being screamed for in the UK, both outside and inside the parliament. The people are sick to death of, having the wool pulled over their eyes, and the bureaucracy made to make us look like fools, because that's what they do. and they do it oh so well. Well, I think all that is going to come to an end sooner rather than later. And the noise behind the scenes, and not so much even behind the scenes, I think every man and their dog are talking about it, is that the gitmo trials or tribunals are imminent. The public release of details about those trials is imminent. Now, you know me and dates. I don't like dates, but there is a chance that between now and, let's call it the end of May, I'll be broad with my dates, but it's only a few days away what will supposedly happen, will be the first triggers of what will prove to be a monumental month of June, where there will be a great number of releases of information regarding not just Gitmo and not just the people who have been arrested and potentially already gone through the tribunal and have had their sentences carried out, but a lot more. I'm expecting that we're going to see a lot of American evidence before we see anything out of Australia. But I do think we are seeing some indications in Australia that the police force in particular, well, I'll say in Queensland because I haven't been into all the other states, but I've had some interactions with police recently, and just not professional interactions, if you like, and was able to have some conversations which I haven't been able to have with police, well, for many years, to be honest. And these were very frank. You know how I am. I'm fairly direct. And not that I accuse these Queensland coppers of being like the Victorian coppers of the era where they were bashing people, but Queensland coppers were pretty heavy-handed at times, particularly on the Gold Coast, which they agreed. They all regret terribly, terribly, but they're still in their jobs. And if they had to do it again tomorrow, they would do it again tomorrow. They don't see the difference. They don't see why, even though it made them feel bad after they've thought about it, it's their job. It's just what I've got to do. And I said, well, what if what you've got to do is protect the people? Because what you're doing is enforcing for the government. And if the people don't like what the government are doing and can't lawfully get rid of them, because there is no mechanism available to the people to lawfully get rid of a corrupt, unjust, and genocidal government, because they sure as shit they want to kill us. I've got a very annoying fly. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be an interesting next 6 to 8 weeks. I think that there's going to be a lot more. I hesitate to say disclosure because there's a movie coming out called Disclosure. I think that's out on the 12th of June. I watched the trailer for that earlier today, and I don't know what you make out of it, to be honest. I think it'll be a very interesting show to watch. Directed by Steven Spielberg. It has sort of like a creepy element to it, but I don't think that is the premise for the movie. I don't think it's one of those the aliens are invading, coming to get us kind of things. I think it's an awakening kind of movie. It could be wrong. You know how they make these bloody things these days. They throw all the good bits in the trailer and the rest of the movie is absolute crap. Speaking of absolute crap, do you remember a little while ago, I was at great pains to tell you that once Israel had had enough of Iran, or that America were going to pull out of Iran, that Israel needed somebody else to fight. And I think it was only a day or three into the initial, let's call it a war with Iran, when one of the parliamentarians, a fella who's developing quite the name for himself at the moment, came out and suggested that Turkey were the next enemy that Israel faced. Well, they've decided that to be the case. Israeli politicians turn their sights on Turkey and labels the neighbor an enemy state. Why? Well, it came after Israeli Culture Minister Miki Zohar warned Turkey should be treated as an enemy state following the interception of a Gaza-bound flotilla that sailed from the Turkish city, a Turkish city earlier this week. We must begin to treat Turkey as an enemy state because they sent an unarmed ship full of tree-hugging hippies who wanted to go and send some food to the people of Gaza. I'm sorry, I added that bit in. I'll go back to the read. If Turkey chooses the path of war with us, now, how did Turkey choose a path of war by sending a boatload full of tree-hugging hippies with food, no meat, to Gaza? Anyway, there are Iranians who thought the same thing, and look where they are now. It seems like a wonderful threat from our Jewish friends. The comments reflect a much broader shift that has been building for months as the Gaza conflict, regional instability, and the weakening of Iran shaped the Middle East, blah, 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 blah. Last month, though, Turkey foreign minister accused Israel of actively searching for a replacement enemy as tensions with Tehran evolve. After Iran, Israel cannot live without an enemy. How true is that? It's being borne out through history. All you've got to do is look at the history. And if you want to know what kind of people they are, then all you really need to do is go and Google search the Israeli foreign minister, whose name is Gvir, I think Gvir. He has been in to see all of the people arrested on that flotilla of boats, that flotilla of unarmed boats carrying humanitarian aid, for which now Turkey needs to be held accountable, needs to be made an enemy state. That's absolutely disgusting filth from the Jewish foreign minister and friends. Benjamin Netanyahu's crazy little mob of Zionists are dead set, desperate to set the world on fire. Satan's helpers. That's the only way you can describe these mad, mad individuals. So keep an eye out on what's going on there for the time being. But, of course, you know, Turkey and Israel, I don't think have ever directly had too much by way of confrontation. But they do stand in the way of something that Israel is very keen to get its hands on. Speaking of things very keen to get their hands on, One Nation are doing a fair few movements at the moment, shall we say. Pauline Hanson has applied for another, not a new, but another electoral office in central Queensland, in Capricornia, in Yeppoon. Now, that happens to be where the head of the party, I think he is these days, lives, and probably where the plane will be parked, Pauline's plane, as I'm pretty sure Mr. Ashby is the pilot of the aircraft as well. So Pauline has asked the government to stump up for another electoral office, and whether she gets it or not, who knows. One Nation have had their staff allotment cut back. I don't know how the government of the day gets to pick how many staff those in opposition to the government of the day get, because the government has unlimited staff, unlimited funds, and they outsource most of the bloody work, as we are starting to find out, to, you know, high-end, big city, Collins Street, Sussex Street businesses that do all the paperwork, charge millions of dollars, millions, tens of millions to write a report and funnel that back to the bureaucrats who then make their changes and bend their minister. Is it any wonder we are in such a woeful state? No oversight, zero oversight. Nobody will take accountability. Good luck getting the surname out of anybody in a government office that rings you or you go in to talk to. Good luck getting a real name out of them. You might get, oh, yeah, call me Tony, but it won't be Tony, their real name. It'll be something else. It'll be something untraceable, unaccountable. This is half the reason I have PTSD from dealing with those sorts of people. I don't really have PTSD, or if I do, it's undiagnosed. But I do tend to give people who are like that PTSD if I'm dragged into the same room with them for some reason. So I figure they must be giving it to me and I'm just giving it back. But Pauline and her team are giving the Labor Party and the Liberal Party PTSD. But right now, with her move into Capricornia, it will be giving the Nationals PTSD because they are, well, first cab off the rank to losing just about everything in the next election. Now, they were making some announcement tonight to finally fall in line, I think, with the Victorian farmers who do not want these transmission lines put over their properties. Now, the National Party in Victoria, at least, has been fairly strong from my memory. From a child, they were very strong. But over the years, of course, have petered down and petered down and petered down and now been weakened into the unibrow party that we all know and love. Of course, like any rat escaping from a sinking ship, the Nationals have now spied that the ship they need to get on is the one of One Nation. And so rather than doing the honourable thing and resigning from their parties and going over and saying, hey, listen, I really like what you're doing and I can see what you're doing is good. Let me get behind that and bring my level of support to you rather than the other way around. We'll see what happens. I think a lot of Nationals in Victoria are going to try and obviously gain some power back in Victoria by the November election. But why would you go with the Nationals who you know are part of the problem? And this affects not just Victorians, but also the federal coalition as well. I watched Angus Campbell today bleat on about how they're going to do this and that and this and that. But all of the thises and the that's are essentially the same, if only slightly different and slightly more watered down than Pauline Hanson and the One Nation policies, particularly on immigration. Now, why would you believe a Liberal National Coalition federally when they say, oh, yes, this is awful, this level of immigration, can't have that, no, bloody shit, and that's all Labor's fault? It's not all Labor's fault. If they were any kind of an opposition, they would have been able to stop this. They would have been able to put more emphasis, let more people know, the Australian people, if they had any level of respect for the opposition, would be made aware. And if the opposition had any level of respect for the Australian population. But no, the Uni Party have been working together to make sure that we, the people, don't see the truth of what is going on. So now that we do, we've got Andrew Taylor coming out and saying, oh, yeah, well, jump on our bandwagon. Fuck off. You're the bastards that rode us here on your wagon in the first place. You offer nothing new. You offer platitudes. You offer mea culpas. Oh, yes, we got things wrong. Oh, bloody oath, you got things wrong. and you are still getting it wrong. Canavan and two other federal politicians up in central Queensland bleating on about how good the international gas companies are for Australia and what great blokes they are and how much money they put into the country, all the while saying, oh, God, no, we can't tax them for the gas we give them for free. Oh, no, can't do that. Oh, that would leave us open to so many bad things. Well, what exactly? Qatar is not in a position to produce, I think it's 92 million litres of gas this year. There is a large shortfall. Australia can pick that up, should be picking that up. I wonder whether or not Japan will still be getting it and making money off it once they've paid the Australian government by selling it to their own people. That's the stupidity of these people we have running this country, folks. And not one of them has ever held a real job. Least of all, the Treasurer, who has been an acolyte of Paul Keating, the Undertaker, and seems to be going down exactly the same path as Keating was years ago when he introduced very similar changes to the negative gearing structure, which lasted a couple of months as the building industry, the banking industry, everything imploded, and they had to write the legislation out again and put it all back together. But I know Jim Chalmers has got it right this time. Well, that's the lies that they tell you. I'm amazed that these politicians can show themselves in public in an interview sense at all. And I'll be very disappointed if they aren't asked between now and the next election at every interview they do, they have to be asked about the lies that they have told leading up to this great budget that they've given us. A great budget which is apparently falling apart hand over fist. In fact, a young entrepreneur, and when I say young, she's a 20-something young lady, interviewed Chalmers. I was going to say on Channel 10, but I don't think they have anything anymore. Channel 10's about to go off the air in regional, or the Riverland, parts of Victoria and South Australia. So I think that happens at the end of this month. The collective agreement with Network 10 dies, and Win Television will no longer be streaming the 10 product. So I don't know if that means there is no more Win TV either, because if they're not going to put Channel 10 on, I don't know what else they're going to put on. Be interesting to see. But Channel 10 obviously not rating anything, and almost impossible to sell in the market. So it's very difficult to try and keep the doors open when you can't sell any advertising to keep the doors open. I know. Anyway, Billy Fitzsimmons, her name is. She is the editor-in-chief of some entrepreneurial magazine, and she sat down with Jim Chalmers, and basically one of the first questions that she asked him was about the numbers that they used regarding young entrepreneurs who buy shares, or young Australians who are buying shares. So Chalmers argued that 1 in every 10 people under 35 have got shares, and he said in the interview that's it's not a big number. It's not really a tiny number, but it's not a big number. And the Treasurer said that in his defence, the controversial decision to remove the capital gains tax discount on all assets, including shares, wasn't going to affect too many. But this young chick pushed back, and she said, where did you get that data from, 1 in 10? She said, I went and looked it up at ASIC, and ASIC says that it's 1 in 5 people under 28 are invested in shares. So is it possible that your Treasury document has got the figures wrong? Well, Chalmers went blue in the face, shuffled his papers around a little bit. Oh, well, I'll check that out. These are the latest Treasury numbers. Well, somebody's lied to you in your treasury numbers. And this is where we can start looking for discrepancies. Is it the Labor themselves who've lied in their treasury documents? Or is it ASIC who got it wrong by saying, well, 1 in 10 young people under 28 are invested in shares, not the number that supposedly was being put forward by Chalmers. This makes a big difference. And it makes a big difference to the people who are affected by these changes in capital gains tax. So Chalmers is not doing well. Now, every time these people are seen are going to do an interview, they have to be shamed. If you, for whatever reason, happen to be seeing a politician at an event somewhere, shame them. They are liars. Now, the Labor Party at the moment are easily demonstrated liars. Albanese is going to rue the day he shot back a smart-ass, angered comment, yes, for the 50th time, we're not touching negative gearing. And a week later, what happens? Now, that is a lying on a scale that cannot be forgiven, not by a national leader, and, of course, the lies being told by his offsiders, including Chalmers, to try and get this crooked, unbalanced budget over the road. The only saving grace is that unless they can ramrod a lot of these changes through earlier, none of it is due to start until after the next federal election. So therefore, we could be arguing about these things for no apparent reason. But if they do manage to legislate it in before then they'll start building that infrastructure. It's a huge waste of money. And what we need is another group in there, at that next election to make sure anything they vote in and make law is turned around and repealed. Sky News have been doing some pretty good polls, and they are seemingly exceptionally accurate. Now, as you can see, when it comes to two-party preferred, it's neck and neck between One Nation and the Liberal Party. However, the news doesn't get much better than that for the Liberal Party, I'm afraid. The federal voting intention, and this also surprises me, shows that Labor is leading 28 versus One Nation's 25, followed by the Coalition at 23. The rest of them fall away pretty drastically underneath that. I am staggered that a federal voting intention of 28 out of 100 people are planning on voting for Labor staggers me. That staggers me. These people can only be truly committed liars, truly committed evil, corrupt bastards that just simply do not care about anything else other than money and themselves. Because to have even that many people, still a portion of this nation would prefer Labor leading this nation than anybody else, absolutely staggers me. Upsets me tremendously. Preferred prime ministers. Well, at the moment, how would anybody prefer a liar over anybody else? So then, if it's party politics, they're just brushed on Labor. Yeah, Albo might be a liar, but somebody will come up behind him. No, that's a sign of the quality of person, the quality of soul you're dealing with. They're the kind of people we're trying to convert, to bring over to our side, the people who are a bit more understanding. But these people, these died on, call them Labor supporters, are either bribed, and this is where I think the number is coming from. Bribe, not in the form so much of handing over brown paper bags, but Labor handing over visas, Labor handing over easy access to anything in our governmental system here in Australia, easy access to jobs, easy access to anything, as long as you remember to vote Labor in your public service job. Because that's where they're all hiding, in the public service. So anybody who ever doubted that Labor was going to do exactly the same thing as the Democrats did, and that's changed the voting demographic of a nation, will be in no doubt Labor have done that. They've started out in Western Sydney, and now they are doing it with the nation. And the reason that that red line, where it says 41 or even up to 50% of people believe Albanese would be a better Prime Minister than Angus Taylor or Pauline Hanson, that can only come from pure ignorance or having come from a very corrupt country, and you're shit scared that if you do not toe the Labor line and say, oh, yes, I'm going to vote for Labor, that you're worried your visa is going to get cancelled and kicked out. And that is what Labor will also now start fanning the flames of, because Pauline has made no bones about it. One Nation will start deporting people, and I believe that Angus Taylor has said the same thing. So Labor's first policy will be a vote for either of them is a vote to get yourself thrown out of the country. You've got to vote for us because we want you here. And there are a whole bunch of very corrupt people who've entered this country who don't care. As long as the free money keeps coming every fortnight, they don't give a shit. Mind you, there's plenty of Australians just like that too. So will Labor's broken promises ease the housing crisis for first home buyers? 38% of people said absolutely not. 31% of people aren't smart enough to figure it out either way, and 31% said yes. So pretty evenly split right across the board. Whether it means much to you, I don't know. This is the one that meant a bit to me. Will the federal budget make you worse or better off? 1% said it was going to be much better off. Well, that'll be the parasites, formerly known as the elites, that will be feeling much better off, of course, because the rest of us are being crushed. 18% much worse off, 26% a bit worse off, and 47%, I'll be about the same. You know where that number comes from? That comes from the people who don't give a shit about the budget. They're just going to live their life, and they don't understand how it all plays out anyway. You're going to take whatever money you're going to take off me. I'm going to get to live off whatever you leave, and that's how it is. They've resigned themselves to that fact, and we fight that apathy. We've got to try and get that apathy gone and get people more energized to be on our side. To change things going forward, and change they absolutely must. All right. I've prattled on a fair bit tonight. I apologise for carrying on like that. I'm just having a bit of a squeeze through your comments just to see if there's any questions or things there for me. Oh, yes, I should look into when the latest vaccine was put into the Congo. You've got to think that they do just about everything else. They're the bastards in Africa. I think Bill Gates has been responsible for... now, I read this. Don't hold me to it. I think they alleged that Bill Gates was responsible for something like 13 billion injections into 6 different countries in Africa over 10 years, I want to say. That meant multiple people getting jabs for various different things. And this was all testing. And I have also been able to find out quite rightly and correctly that India will not have Bill Gates back in the country unless he's coming to go on trial. So, interesting times. Not sure if Bill's still hanging out around Australia. He was hiding out here for a little while over in Western Australia. But these days, well, he's had a couple of court cases. I think he appeared in one. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I hope you've had a bloody good night tonight, and tomorrow, being a Friday, you're not going to go and work too hard. It'll be a Friday free for all. With a bit of luck, Vince will be awake and join us. We'll have a few more laughs to catch up on, I hope. I'm working on a couple of them as we speak, and we'll welcome the weekend with a smile. If you are heading out, make sure you're sharing the love with those around you. No need to be a dickhead on the road, because there's plenty of them out there. And if you happen to go past a donkey, give it some love.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!